Hello, my name is Grin, and this is my beard. Today's crumb that's been crawling around in my beard is a little story about when I was in junior high. This story, it's kind of messed up. I don't know how to explain this, but uh, my principal at my school, my junior high school, thought I was some sort of delinquent. She thought she was sure, absolutely sure, that I was a terrible person, and she was hell bent on making sure that I got punished for it. The reason this came about is I had been getting into some fights, and these fights were basically somebody doing something to me and me retaliating. While I was in line waiting for lunch, another kid comes up from behind me, grabs me, and pushes me out of the line and takes my spot. So basically, I'd have to go all the way back to the back. Instead of doing that, I just turned around and punched them. Probably not a good idea, but I was not going to let somebody just push me around. It's not what I'm all about. And of course, he was a lot bigger than me. And this is kind of the key thing about these fights that I got into is every single one of these people were bigger than me. They could push me around, but I wasn't about to let that just happen without some sort of repercussions. I know that I knew at that age that if I don't do something, it's not like anybody else is going to do something. If I tell the teacher, they're not going to punish the other student. They're just going to be like, "Don't do that again," and that's the extent of the punishment. Which is like telling another telling a kid to not do that again is like saying, "I saw what you did, but I don't really care." That's kind of how we would think about it. So I had a few of these incidents happen, and my principal was just um, hell bent on making sure that I got punished, even though I was basically defending myself in each case. Another example. Let me give you another example. The biggest guy in our school, his name was Mondo. Um, we called him Mondo because he was just huge. He was enormous. He was big. He was like an adult size junior high kid. And we were again. It was at lunch, and we had hot dogs this day. And I get my hot dog, and I go to there's a station or area where we've got ketchup and mustard and stuff like that. And I put my tray down to put some ketchup on my hot dog, and Mondo comes up beside me and pushes me out of the way, and he says, "This is my ketchup." And he starts putting ketchup on his hot dog. I'm just like, I'm not going to get pushed around like this, even by somebody twice my size. I smashed my fist down onto the ketchup dispenser while he was dispensing it onto his hot dog, and the ketchup went all over the place, all over him, all over everything. It was wonderful. It was beautiful. But what wasn't beautiful is the fact that after I did that, he picked me up and tossed me like a skipping stone across the tables that everybody was sitting on. I mean, I flew over them and landed on the ground, and then started to come after me, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna die now. But another guy named Rocky, the second biggest guy in the school, came up from behind him and grabbed him and said, "Don't do that. Just relax. Just relax." And so I owe Rocky a big thank you. Thank you, Rocky. But that was in junior high school. Um, so the last year of junior high school, my teacher, she had it out for me, and basically she made all kinds of accusations about things that I was doing and how I was thinking, and my actions and whatnot, which were completely false. She had my mother come in to talk to her while I was there, and she would basically lie to my mother about my behavior and the things that I was doing and the way I was thinking when I was doing it, which was completely wrong. And I couldn't believe that this person was lying about me so much to my mom in front of me, and I got very upset. But she called the police because I was getting upset, and the police officer came to the door and just looked at me while I was getting upset while she was telling these lies to my mother. And the police officer looked at me, seeing me get upset, and he just shook his head. And I was like, okay, so I've got to just grin and bear it. And that's what I did. I grinned and I bared it. just let her talk and let her talk, and I didn't say anything until it was over. And then my mother made uh, a suggestion that she would have a psychologist come and evaluate me for whatever, anything, everything, everything. So for the next, I don't know, 3 months, every week or every 2 weeks, this psychologist came to the school to during the lunchtime, which I wasn't able to go to lunch anymore because I was getting in too many troubles at lunch. And This psychologist would come in and run tests on me, testing me for whatever psychological thing that might be wrong with a kid. I mean, I'd been tested for just about everything. Of course, I'm a little kid, so he didn't tell me what he was testing me for. He told my mom, but my mom really didn't tell me anything either because at the end it was just like, there is nothing wrong with you. Every single test came up, you're normal. There's no hiccup, there's no craziness, and there was only one thing that is different about you compared to other people who took the tests. Um, Apparently, I have a really high IQ, and that's the only thing that was different. I didn't even have ADHD according to them. I was just pretty smart. How smart? I mean, just pretty smart. Let's just say pretty smart. Not crazy smart, but pretty smart. And it's crazy that this woman put me through all of this because I don't know what her deal was. I never figured out why she had it in for me so much. The last couple months of school, I because of the testing and everything else, and that there was nothing wrong with me, they finally let me go and have lunch, normal lunch. And it had been like 6 months of not having any uh, break time or time for myself during lunch. I would always have to go into the office and be in there during lunch. So I just didn't know what to do. I just went to the basketball court and sat on the bleachers and just looked at the sun or looked at the sky, enjoyed the sun. That was it. It was like, I'm outside. I can be outside now. Didn't want to do anything else. And it's little things like that. Some people in your life might just, get you down. And people who have power, they can use that however they want. And where is the oversight for this kind of thing? There is none, as far as I can tell, because even after all that, and even after I was proven to be nothing wrong with me, and I had proven my cases in each one of those fights, that I was basically defending myself in a way. Now, not necessarily. No. The thing, okay, so I didn't have to smash the ketchup on on Bobby's Mondo's clothes, but considering the circumstances, I think it was well deserved. I don't think I deserve to be tossed to the other side of the gymnasium over the tables, but you know, uh, consequences are consequences. Just a little bit more uh, painful consequences on my end. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because earlier I had told a story about the crazy uh, Vato who pointed a gun at me, and one of those people I had gotten into a fight with was the guy that I went with to that Vato's house, and I swear afterwards we became friends afterwards. So it wasn't like always being enemies type of thing, but we became friends afterwards. But I always had this suspicion that no, he wasn't really being friendly to me. He had something that he was planning. Like he was going to get me back somehow or teach me a lesson. Even though he was very friendly with me, around me. Um, but for some reason, it seemed like he had this ulterior motive with everything he did and putting me in situations where I could easily get myself hurt. Which I could tell you three different situations where he put me in where I could easily have been, killed or died or whatever. But I managed to get out of it, and I think that upset him even more. But yeah, that's my story. That's the crumb that was in my beard, thinking about my past and whatnot. And hopefully, if you are dealing with this kind of thing, maybe you can understand that even if you do everything right, you can still fail and you can still lose. Even if you do the best you can and do better than everyone else, even if you do better than everyone else, you can still lose. That's just kind of the way things are sometimes. Life isn't fair. It's not. It's not about what you can do. Really, it's about who you know. The most important part is, who do you know? And when I was having all these troubles with the kids in my junior high school, I was new. We had just moved into this small town, and everybody there knew everybody, but they didn't know me, which is why they felt like they could just push me around. And they felt like they needed to put me in my place. And I wasn't the type of person to allow someone to decide which place I was supposed to be in. So I fought back, and that caused a lot of tension. Now, in hindsight, I think obviously I could have done things better in a better way. However, at the time, being a kid, I realized that I didn't have the experience that I needed in order to make the better decisions. Nobody had taught me these things. Now I know. And one of the basic this is what I think you should this is uh my what I suggest, my recommendation for the best thing that you can do to improve your life and your lifestyle, and that is to get and read the book by Dale Carnegie called How to Win Friends and Influence People. That'll basically, it won't tell you how to be a good person, but it might, I mean, if you follow everything, you probably will become a better person. But it also explains to you how or why people do the things that they do. And if I had been able to read that book when I was so young, maybe it would have been great for me. However, it's not an easy book to read. There's a lot of, looking at the past and people in history in the past, like George Washington or what's his name? What is the American Playboy, Benjamin Franklin? Yeah, Benjamin Franklin. Stories about him, Lincoln, and a whole bunch of other people from even like the early 1900s who became successful or did amazing things and what they did and how they did it. It's a lot of stories, but using those stories, it teaches you the lesson of what it means and why people do the things that they do. It's a great book, and I think anyone can better their situation in their life by reading it and understanding it, if not following the guidelines that it puts out. So that's the crumb in my beard today. Get yourself the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It's not a huge book, but it is a little bit difficult to read. If you can't do that, then get the audiobook. The audiobook is a lot easier to listen to. All right. See you.